2018 was a tough year for China's economy. Growth slowed and its stock markets fell sharply.
The slowing down in the Chinese economy is real.
But what caused the decline was up for debate at an event hosted by the National Committee on U.S. China Relations in New York. Justin Lin, former chief economist at the World Bank, said it was mainly caused by supply-side structural reforms.
All those kind of reforms are contractionary. Chinese government should be commended for the willingness to take up those kind of contractionary structural reform.
He and others said the trade war also had an impact, but it was mainly psychological, hurting the stock market and causing some to cut back on spending.
The conference in New York came at a time when tariffs on Chinese imports were set to rise. But in early December, the Trump administration put a 90-day freeze on the trade war, setting a March 1st deadline to come up with a deal on trade.
Those in attendance were largely optimistic an agreement could be reached eventually, mainly because of domestic economic pressure on both sides.
The Chinese economy is slowing for a number of structural reasons which an agreement could address. I think in the U.S. we will see increasingly the evidence that tariffs are actually disadvantaging the U.S. economy, reducing employment, slowing growth.
We had a lot of volatility in financial markets most recently, which many people argue is a consequence of the Twitter trade war.
City economist Catherine Mann said stock market volatility might push the Trump administration to make a deal. Chinese professor Jia Daozhong was more worried about the long-term impact of the trade war.
The most damaging part of the negotiations between the two countries at this point of time, being a political scientist by training, is that this Cold War idea, this new Cold War idea, this demand for third country markets to choose between China and the United States.
Whether that sentiment will go away if and when a deal is reached is perhaps the more pressing question ahead. Karina Huber, CGTN, New York.